that were before the team. And also in the main, because I, as per the Constitution, given the responsibility to make sure that policing is done in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, and the population of over 12.5 million, we're going to look at me as having failed them. So the consequence of a sudden stop of investigation was going to impact on us as the South African Police Service in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, and myself as a person responsible for the work that needed to be done.
And do you know whether or not the National Commissioner acted on your request to engage the minister and establish the issues that you've highlighted?
Well, I did not hear from the National Commission after that. Commissioners, as the time were progressing, I did not, he never really came back to me to tell me what is the next course of action, but it continuously signs off the extension of the deployment of the team in the province, regardless of the letter.
And you indicate that you took some resolutions following the National Commissioner's failure to report back to you on any contact and conversation he may have had with the minister. What were those steps you took?
Part of the, if I hear the question correct, Commissioner, on what I did after speaking to the National Commissioner, and National Commissioner not able to come back to me.
Yes.
I said earlier I had engagement with the Chief of Staff right at the beginning because he's a person I knew very well. And I even requested the Chief of Staff that he must try and arrange a meeting with the minister so that we can be able to tell the minister about the consequence of the letter that he has written. And after engaging with the National Commissioner, I did not leave it there. I continuously tried different individuals outside the structure of government, people that I thought the minister might listen to. I tried to engage them, to try and reach out to the minister so that we can talk about this. But that did not give me any success. I then took a decision to engage the minister directly in the form of a WhatsApp that I sent him. He acknowledged that, and he was to set up a meeting, but to date, that meeting never materialized.
General, you seem to have skipped paragraph 126 as another step that you took. Do you want to speak to that? Another step that you took. Do you want to speak to that?
That is correct, Commissioner. In my effort to try and make sure that we get to engage with the minister about this matter, part of my request to the National Commissioner was that if he's not able to get an audience with the minister to talk about this, the least he must do is to approach the head of state, the president, because he accounts to the president, and the president knows about the establishment of this team and the work that the team is doing over these years. So he must be informed about what the minister has done, and I wanted the National Committee to establish whether is a president aware of the decision of the minister, is he supporting this decision of the minister? Because as a provincial commissioner, I can't go directly to the president, so I needed to engage my boss, which is the National Commissioner, to reach out to his boss, the president, because, of course, the executive authority, the minister, has taken a decision that seems to be contrary to what we are doing as the police. I also wanted to indicate, I reminded the National Commissioner that the work of this team was as a result of the interministerial committee. This is not a South African Police Service operation. This is an integrated operation which account to a group of ministers as doing oversight on behalf of the president. So it cannot be correct then that one minister takes a decision without being part of the collective, or even so, the decision that is taken is an operational decision, whereas the IMC at the beginning did not participate in the formation of the team. It was the National Commission that signs off the formation of the team. The IMC were only presented with a strategy that we're going to do, which they adopted, they agree with us, and they will have received or gave their opinions if there was no need for that to continue anymore. They will have convened us and told us that the country is okay now, the murder rates have gone down that are targeted to the politicians, or therefore you might want to reconsider this operational approach that you are doing and maybe revisit the strategy, but that didn't happen. So that was our concern.
And did you receive a report back from the National Commissioner whether he's attempted to speak to the president?
No, unfortunately, I did not receive a report back. I do not know what was engagement. It is for that reason, Commissioner, that without receiving that, I personally reached out to the chairperson of the portfolio committee as an oversight body to the police work, because I realize it looks like every door I'm knocking, nothing is happening. National Commissioner, please speak to the minister, it's not happening. National Commissioner, check with the president, I'm not getting a feedback. And the next body that I must engage is an oversight body, which is Parliament. I then contacted the chairperson of the portfolio committee, Honorable Cameron, myself. I requested him to invite me to the portfolio committee. Ordinarily, I was not supposed to be part of the portfolio committee. But through my request, he invited me to be part of the portfolio committee. It is that portfolio committee where I was able to then express my feelings about this decision in the presence of both the National Commissioner and the Minister. But even that effort failed. Nothing happened as a result. So those are all the efforts that I did.
Thank you, Ms. Silla.
Thank you, Commissioner. And just to remind you, General, there's a portion in your statement where you elaborate further on these steps, and we will get back to it. And in particular, the engagement you had with the portfolio committee, because that's the first place where you were engaged by potential decision makers on the matter. All other previous efforts had been unsuccessful. But before we get there, getting back to our page 44, and I'm at paragraph 127, I'm going to invite you to read your paragraph 127 into the record. And then I point out before you do so that, and I don't know if you'll agree with me, that's conjecture on your part. It's not a fact what is in 127. So if you're going to read it, I need you to explain what informs or what leads you to form that conclusion.
Commissioner, on this paragraph, I wrote that at this stage, it had become clear to me at least that the minister issued a directive based on advice that, other than based on the records, official records of the SAPS. It was an advice from someone that would have told the minister. So I strongly suspected that that advice the minister received was the one to disband the task team. And it is my feeling, Commissioner, that after having received these continuous briefing from the Gauteng counterintelligence operation about the work that they are doing in Gauteng and the sensitivity of the cases they are investigating and the extent of corruption that they are experiencing with these investigations, that for sure someone believed, because there were threats against the two detectives of Gauteng, and the 10 members of the political killings task team had came to Gauteng to assist. Hence, they became part of the project. Someone thought that the political killings task team was the one that was responsible for the investigations in Gauteng towards these criminal syndicates that we had alluded to, we spoke about earlier, which involved and the participation of senior police officers in the South African Police Service, especially at the head office, as well as the senior politicians and their associate. So somebody believed that it is the political killings task team that was busy with the Gauteng investigation. That was my conclusion, that whoever advised a minister advised him to close the team because they thought it is the team that is doing that investigation.
Now, and I did qualify that that is your conclusion, and in this paragraph at least, you don't substantiate that conclusion or provide a basis for that conclusion. My question to you is, do you personally have any evidence, or is there anyone within the investigative arm or involved in the investigations who would be able to adduce sufficient evidence to at least support the conclusion you have drawn? Do you know of the existence of such evidence?
Commissioners, I am aware of the evidence that was extracted as the team in Gauteng were investigating, which made me reach the conclusion that indeed this is what made someone to influence the minister to close it. Because the evidence that we're going to present later by someone who's going to come before this commission who were part of this Gauteng investigation, they uncovered that communication within the syndicates was making a reference to the team, not being understanding that what is happening in Gauteng is for Gauteng, is not for KZN.
You say communication between the syndicate, but you are not implying that that communication extended to the minister, are you?
To some degree, the associates, as I referred to here on this paragraph, are associates of the minister. And the very same associate does show communication that seems to suggest that the minister is fully involved in the decision that this syndicate is taking.
Do you accept the responsibility on your part to substantiate fully, not necessarily today, but in the fullness of time, the conclusions you have drawn in that paragraph?
Yes, Commissioners, evidence is there on the record, although some of it will perhaps require to be covered in camera, but the evidence is there that will support my conclusion on this. The individuals, the colleagues, as I said earlier, my July briefing was a collective effort. Men and women who are part of the investigation in Gauteng, who knows and they've gathered evidence to support the allegations that we ended up making. And they are going to come before this commission and they're going to present that evidence. We will be able, under oath, to confirm that indeed that is evidence that we've collected, and we have no reason not to believe that it is the real evidence that proves the linkages between the syndicates and the minister himself.
I suspect the commissioners will flag that particular paragraph and the allegations you make there, and we'll see where the commission goes and whether or not eventually the evidence is adduced. Continuing with your statement, however, from paragraph 129 to paragraph 137, you basically deal with the experience of the task team, the efforts of the task team, the reports continuously made by the task team in challenging the conclusion arrived at by the minister in his letter of the 31st. You see that? Would you like to briefly touch on the issues that you raise in those paragraphs?
Commissioner, referring to paragraph 1 to 9.
I'm referring to from paragraph 1 to 9, where you engage now with the letter, and you stated in the letter, I quote, "The minister claims that his observation is that the existence of this team is no longer required. I do not know what facts support the minister's conclusion. I deny the correctness of the minister's conclusion and aver that they are wholly baseless." That's what you stated 129. In succeeding paragraphs, you then engage with the basis for why you disagree with the minister's conclusion. And that's what I would like you to summarize for the benefit of the commission. And that should take you to 137, paragraph 137.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. As I indicated earlier, that this political killings task team is one of many task teams that are running in the country. So for the minister to isolate the political killing task team alone raises question. And for the conclusion that the minister says that the team does not add any value, the value of the police is to prevent crime, to investigate crime, and bring the perpetrators thereof to justice. And this team has demonstrated that. So I did not understand the value the minister was referring to. Whether it was privy to the success, the achievement of the team or not, it's something perhaps the commission will be able to bring, because to date I've never had an opportunity to ask him. These are questions I wanted to ask him, and I never had an opportunity to ask. So therefore it could not be justified that the team, with these stats that it has, that it can just be classified as a team that does not add value in the work of the police in the country. And as I said, commissioners, that this team, through their success rate, they were even given a task that went beyond the scope of the work on their inception, and they were tasked to go and work in the Eastern Cape, and they were given the responsibility to investigate cases of traditional leaderships and the likes. So it cannot be then correct for the minister to say a team that is recognized, and it's the only one that has been recognized like this in the country, for such a team to simply make an allegation that it does not add value, it's wrong in all front. That's why I disagree with what the minister said. It is simply inconceivable that the entire operational management of the SAPS, under the leadership of the National Commissioner, who will see the value of this team and the efforts, the dedication, the times that these members, officers have spent away from home for years in order to assist in dealing with the reduction of our leaders of our country, the murders of our leaders of our country, that it is therefore seen by a minister as not adding value. So the sacrifice of these police officers, the recognition that the National Commissioner has made over these members, the support and the appreciation that the Inter-Ministerial Committee has expressed, including the President himself, when he was briefed about the work of this team, and he expressed it, commissioners, not only to the IMC at one stage, he spoke directly to the investigator, to the members themselves, where he said, "You are doing a good job," when he was briefed. So for all that, for the minister to come and say it doesn't add any value when everyone else is recognizing, was very bizarre, to say the least. So the reason I advance annually for the continuation of this team are those reflected in the very same reports that we're giving to the IMCs, because those reports were indicating the work still that needs to be done, the success rate the team has achieved in order to motivate the continuing existence of the team. To this extent, the minister, as a newly appointed minister to the post, having appointed in May last year, under this administration, may have required a historic perspective, the understanding of what this team has been doing before he signs this letter. He need only have had regard, ask the office, his office, to finish him with reports that were already available in his office, which were the IMC reports that are giving the status of the work of the team. He will have received that and get a briefing on it, or at least he will have engaged with the president. But prior to engaging the president, he will have called for this reporting from myself or whoever that was part of this team in order to understand before he engages the president on the work of this team. So for the reason unknown to me, the minister elected not only to rely on saying that the team does not any value, but he decided to issue a directive to disestablish the team. I must say, commissioners, although not written here, that in his own words, I think it will be in the record of Parliament, where the minister said he had indicated an engagement with the president about this decision that he has taken. So that's why he stands by his decision. So, which then is strange because the National Commission has never received anything to counter that. So it remains his utterances that we do not know whether he can justify on why he reached that conclusion. So my concern.
Can I, if I may?
Yes.
And I do so with the eye on the clock now because the chair had, I think, had put a cutoff hour of 4. I just want to, continuing on what you have in your statement in the order as it appears, you raise a second different specific concern regarding the minister's decision, and this you deal with at paragraph 134. I would like you to highlight that particular concern to the commission, please.
As I said, commissioners, that the work of the team was not as a result of the Minister of Police, but was a result of the Interministerial Committee. So my own concern in the main was the seeming undermining of the Interministerial Committee by the Minister of Police, because the letter does not suggest that the IMC had approved this dissolution of the team, nor that the mandate was given by the IMC to dissolve this team. The minister has to date not advised of any IMC's decision with regard to the work of the team to date.
Okay. Now I'll take us briefly to the dissolution, the disestablishment letter, if one can call it that, of the minister. We went through it, we highlighted what the directives were concerning the filling of the posts of, for the intelligence division regarding ports of entry and the political task team. That would be at pages 185 to 186. Now, if you cast your eye on that document, does the minister say anything about what must happen to the dockets at the time being handled by the task team upon dissolution of the team? Does he instruct or give guidance on what should happen in that letter?
The minister's letter does not say anything about the case dockets specific. So he did not direct on what must be done on this docket. I am informed that the determination on what must happen to the docket was taken by General Sibia through the written correspondence that he directed to his subordinate, which is the head of detectives, Lieutenant General Sentumule.
So you annex further as MK10, a letter dated the 4th of February 2025. This is authored by General Sibia, and you say that it was directed to General Sentumule. Could you just briefly tell us who's General Sentumule, whether she and how, fit in and how?
Lieutenant General Sentumule is a divisional commissioner responsible for crime detection in the country. And she is stationed at the head office, resulting under General Sibia as a Deputy National Commissioner.
Your MK10, annexure MK10 starts from page 187. If you could turn to that. And you say it is this document that contained the determination as regards the fate of the dockets, the Tastim dockets. Is that?
That is correct.
And what is the fate as determined by General Sibia in this letter?
In the main, the Sibia is instructing the divisional commissioner to ensure that the cases under investigation, the instruction by the Minister of Police, the directive of the day of the 31st of December, which was issued by the Minister of Police, that this directive be implemented immediately. And that's why on his letter, he makes a reference that in compliance with this directive, he, as General Sibia, is directing that the Divisional Commissioner Crime Detection must engage with the Divisional Commissioner Crime Intelligence.
Yes. And I understand that, in summary, the directive there is all the dockets should be directed to a specific place at national office outside the KZN area. Is my understanding correct?
That is correct.
Now, do you know if you, I'll put it differently, if you, and that's assuming you had the authority, if you were, as a provincial commissioner, were to decide to disband a task team operating in KwaZulu-Natal with dockets on matters relating to on dockets relating to issues and crimes arising in KZN, what would automatically happen to those dockets? If a task team in KwaZulu-Natal is disbanded, and I will assume for purposes of this question that it correctly disbanded, what automatically happens to those dockets that the task team handled?
A case dockets, commissioners, belong to a police station. The cases open at police station, get registered, is going to have a case number of a particular police station. The docket might be investigated by a specialized unit, a task team, or whatever that is established. But on conclusion thereof, it goes back to the police station where it was registered. So if there was a decision to stop the work of this task team on dockets that are already finalized, will need to be returned back to the stations, and dockets that are still under investigation will also need to be returned back to the very same stations. So that those dockets have been allocated to different investigators at the station so that the work or investigation work can continue.
So what would be the basis to treat these particular 121 dockets differently, and that instead of going back to their respective police stations, that they're directed to come to national office? Would you know the basis for that?
I just did not know what could be the reason, although later I discovered what could be the motive. Perhaps we'll discuss that later.
We'll discuss that later, particularly what could be, but let's try and stick to fact for the moment. Commissioner Baloyi?
Thank you. Ms. Silo, before you step off the letter, and let me direct this so that you can formulate it your way to the general. In this letter, and maybe it's because I'm not familiar with police speak, where in this letter do you say that there's an instruction to deliver the dockets to head office?
I think I can assist that by referring to the next annexure.
Okay.
Which is annexure Oh, it's the same annexure. It's a series of letters. It starts at page 190. And the annexure the letter at page 190 is dated the 22nd of 2025. And that also is issued by General Sibia. At item 2 of that letter, at item 1, General Sibia cross-references the letter under discussion, together with another one of a previous date, 17th of January. At item 2, he states that in compliance with the Minister's Directive of the 31st of December 2024 and subsequent directives on the matter, you are advised that this process should be finalized by Thursday, 24th April 2025. And it says this includes the transfer of all dockets, closed, currently under investigation and in court to the Division Detective and Forensic Services. This says, once again, directed to the Divisional Commissioner, Crime Intelligence and Detective and Forensic Services, same as the previous letter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Clarified.
You followed my explanation to the Commissioner General?
Yes, Commissioner, I could just confirm that the annexure, the marked 190, paragraph 2 is specific to that.
Thank you, General.
Thank you, General. So then it's clarified that at least in those 2 letters, the decision or the directive instruction is that the dockets be dealt with in the manner articulated at page 190, which is transfer of the dockets, whether closed, currently under investigation and in court, to the Division Detective and Forensic Services. Earlier, when we put up the organogram, and I checked my understanding with you, I'd understood that division to be a national division and to be one of the divisions that are under the auspices of General Sibia's division as Deputy Commissioner? Deputy National Commissioner, yes. Am I correct in my understanding?
That is correct, Commissioner, as I put out in the structure that there are 3 deputies under the National Commissioner at the head office. Each of the deputies is overseeing specific functions. So in this regard, this division detective service, detective and forensic service, it's a division that is headed by Lieutenant General Sintumule, and it results under the responsibility of the Deputy National Commissioner Crime Detection, which is Lieutenant General Sibia.
So technically my apologies. I say, so effectively, they leave the control of the task team and or the provincial commissioner, and they now will resort under General Sibia through the Division Detective and Forensic Services, which is a national function.
Yeah, that is correct, Commissioner. They will have these dockets moved from one province and go over another province to a 3rd province, from KZN past Free State and landed in Gauteng.
Did you, upon learning, now let me put it differently, when did you learn of the intention to transfer those dockets and under what circumstances?
We, as a standard practice that I'll do from time to time in the province, commissioners would be to conduct an oversight on different functions that are performed in a province. And it so happened from time to time that we do what we refer to in the province as a case flow management session. And this is where we receive presentation, I receive presentation together with my deputies on different investigations that are running in the province in order to see performance of the investigation team, assess challenges that the team has, so you can support in areas where we need to support. During the session that was held in May, I came to learn that these 121 case dockets had been moved to Pretoria. And that briefing was given to me by a member that was in charge of this political killings task team at the time in KZN, Colonel Matlo, who advised me that when they moved this docket, it was as instruction of General Kumalo, who was a project manager of the political killings task team. That's when I became aware, May 2025.
May 2025. What did you do, if anything, upon learning?
It would have been easier, Commissioner, for me to pick up a phone and call General Kumalo because I'm in constant communication with him. But since, in my eyes, this was violating the law, I felt it's important to start putting things formally. So I wrote to General Kumalo, inquiring about these directives that he has issued. I was asking him about the status of these dockets because the team had presented to me that through his instruction, the dockets were taken to the head office.
And the letter you reference is at MK11, you refer to it, paragraph 138 of your affidavit, of your statement rather, my apologies.
That is correct.
And that annexure, MK11, appears from pages 192, Commissioners. If you could turn to the letter, General. Is that the letter?
That is correct. That is the letter that I wrote to General Kumalo, inquiring about these dockets.
Now, it is clear from a reading of that letter that you made the inquiry to General Kumalo in the terms that you expressed yourself, but neither your statement nor your annexures say anything about whether or not you received a response from General Kumalo on these issues, did you?
Yeah, well, General Kumalo did indicate to me that he had received instruction which led him to hand over these dockets to the head office. And that instruction came from the Deputy National Commissioner Crime Detection, Jairus Bia, whom, according to the correspondence that was sent to Kumalo, it was not written to me, it was written to Kumalo, instructing Kumalo to bring the dockets, that the Jairus Bia was acting under instruction of the minister on a letter of 31st that was disbanding the team.
Now, do you know whether or not the demand of the transfer of the dockets to Pretoria was with the knowledge, concurrence, and support of the National Commissioner? Do you know that as a fact at all?
Before that, how did Lieutenant General Kumalo convey what you've just said to you? Was it orally?
He spoke to me on the phone about what has happened.
Oh, thank you.
If I may just point out, for clarity, Chair, at 139, the witness states what General Kumalo informed him, and then he says, I was verbally informed that General Sibia acted in a particular.
I missed that, thank you.
So I take it in the course of that conversation.
I missed that, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So now we turn to National Commissioner. Are you aware of whether or not he knew about this demand for the transfer of the 121 dockets? And anything that you know, please indicate how you became aware thereof.
Commissioners, I report to the National Commissioner as appointed by him. Therefore, I must account to him. On a telephone conversation that I had with him, which I did not reflect on the statement, was exactly that I'm told that the dockets have been taken to Pretoria. Whether did they authorize such? And he said, no, we never authorize such transfer or movement of case dockets. And the National Commissioner, in supporting what he said to me, He had given me an affidavit. I've seen an affidavit that he wrote under oath where he indicated that he never authorized JRSBR to take these dockets. And that was in June, I beg your pardon, in July. The affidavit was dated in July. And I also know that during the recent court process where Lieutenant JRSBR had submitted an urgent application in court about his placement at home or leave of absence that he was challenging, and subsequent to that intention to suspend, that on the submission that was made by the National Commissioner to the court papers, he says the same thing that he had said to me, that he never authorized the dockets to be moved from KwaZulu-Natal to Pretoria.
So if I understand you correctly, you learned from the affidavit deposed to by the National Commissioner in that matter, and the National Commissioner subsequently confirmed to you directly, personally, that he never authorized the transfer of those dockets.
The National Commissioner personally, he told me that he never authorized it, and then affidavits that followed confirmed the same thing.
And do you know whether or not the dockets were duly transferred? You said on the 20th, by the 20th of May, when you learned, they had been transferred, right?
That is correct, Commissioners.
Do you know what became the fate of those dockets after they left the control of the political killing stars team?
Well, the political killing stars team members were complaining to me that they are receiving unindicted complaints from the members of, the family members of the victims of crime that they were in constant contact with as they were investigating these cases, in order to seek update on the work that the team is doing. And the team could not give them update on the work that has been done, and the families are not receiving any update on the work that is done. So that made me conclude that nobody is making contact with the families, there's no investigation that has been done, and really the whereabouts exactly of these dockets was also in question. So it was my conclusion that from the time they were taken until the time when they were transferred back, nothing was done in those documents in terms of the investigation of crime.
Chair,
It is 4 o'clock, but
just two questions
my co-commissioner has a question,
okay.
and then
Mine were just to wrap up this topic.
after him, you will see when it's convenient for us to adjourn.
Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner,
Commissioner,
maybe you'll deal with it in your own way, because you're still continuing with your questions. I just want clarity on whether the directive was implemented. That is the directive to disband the task team. Because it seems to me that where we are going now, we're dealing with the dockets and the removal of the dockets from the task team to Pretoria. But what became of the task team itself following the directive? You can deal with it in your own way.
I guess the reference is to the warm bodies.
yes. What became of them? I think it is going to be, the answer to that question will be perhaps slightly lengthy and complicated, and might perhaps take you way beyond 4 o'clock than more than you intend. So may I suggest that we flag it and we come back to it?
That's
the
fine.
questions that I wanted to pose to the witness are just closing the issue of dockets.
That's fine.
And we open with your question tomorrow morning. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. General, so just to close up on the issue of dockets, at paragraph 142, you give just a very brief summary that seems to imply that you have a good sense of the issues that were being investigated and reflected in those dockets. Am I correct in my suggestion?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, if I am correct, my question to you then is, to your knowledge, did any of the 121 dockets contain any detail regarding investigations or generally the work of the Gauteng counterintelligence, in the Gauteng counterintelligence operations? Did any of those dockets refer, could be parallel to based on the description, the explanation you gave us earlier, to any of the work of the Gauteng counterintelligence operations?
Commissioners, the directive from Jarasibia was talking about the deactivation of the political killings task team. The case docket of the political killings task team was situated in KwaZulu-Natal, and they were not part of the Gauteng counterintelligence ops. So the GCI ops dockets were kept separately from those that were brought from KZN.
Okay.
So I don't think there was any mixture whatsoever.
Now, in last question then, and perhaps very briefly, your paragraph 141 and 142, you speak of an analysis conducted on those dockets upon their return, and you draw certain conclusions as to what happened to those dockets in the intervening period. Would you like to summarize that? And that will be the last question for the day.
Commissioners, although this matter came to the public through the media briefing the National Commission had, again, thanking the media for bring this matter to the attention of the entire citizens, that when the media made an inquiry to the National Commission had already directed a week prior to that for the dockets to be taken back to KZN. And we had since convened with the acting divisional commissioner of detective service at the time, and we agreed together with Jaro Kumalo of how we're going to deal with these dockets that are sitting in Pretoria before they come to KZN, be mindful of a possibility that the commission might want to have a look at those dockets. So our agreement was that we are going to have these dockets audit conducted, page by page in each docket, to confirm that which was handed over at the head office, whether it is still intact as it's coming back. As the directive of the National Commission, it was explicit that the copies of those dockets must be made and kept at the head office. So the team had to then make photocopies, scan those dockets, and sign off on each and every document that is inside the docket. And conduct inspection on the docket to see whether has there been any investigation conducted, meaning the very same team, political killing task team, that came to hand over the dockets after driving from KZN and bringing them here, they came here to come and conduct an inspection on this docket to see the status, whether there is any entry that is made on these dockets from the time they were handed over. They did find few of them, maybe a small percentage. I will not give the exact percentage now, but few of them, there were some entries that were made in those dockets. From the investigation team, from the head office, they said they were instructed to conduct inspection on the docket. As they were conducting those inspections, they had made some entries that they had confirmed, some of them, that the investigation is complete. They're supposed to be arrested, but because they're not empowered to do that, they are not investigating officers, they didn't do anything about it. They just confirmed that on paper, and they left it there on the docket. I think only one of the dockets of the Eastern Cape where a contact was made with the victims in that case, but that was just about only thing that was ever done. Contact made with the victim to tell them that we are having this case, we're investigating this case, together with the officials in the Eastern Cape who were part of the initial investigation. They were also contacted by this head office team, and the entry was made on that case docket. So this is just only one out of all of them, that at least there was a contact with the victims. The rest, there was no contact with the victims, and some of them were inspected, some of them was not even inspected. And that was the status of this team. That's why I'm saying, commissioners, that when the media asked the National Commissioner about the status of the docket, and when the National Commissioner said he has given instruction for the dockets to go to KZN, it was all story to us, because we already received the instruction a week before. So we were already doing the heading over at the time when the media brought this thing to the eyes of the public. So it came out as if it's something that was done on the day, but it's something that we were already doing the counting of the dockets. And it was a Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, when the media asked the question, and the team was already in Pretoria doing the calculation of those dockets. And on Friday, they drove down to KZN with the docket. That's why we're even reflecting there that some of them, they were on an advanced stage where suspect needed to be arrested. And I can safely say that suspect has been arrested as a result of the state of readiness of those dockets. When they arrived back in KZN within a week, there were people charged.
So in short, General, except for the few entries in some of the dockets, the contents of the dockets were intact or were what they should have been.
I did not get the commission properly, the last part.
Oh, sorry. I was saying in that audit or verification exercise, during which it was established that there were some entries in a few of the dockets, the contents of the dockets were intact or were what they were supposed to be.
That is correct, Commissioner. All the dockets were as they were handed over originally to the head office. They came back as they were.
Just one other aspect. In paragraph 137 of your statement, you say that the last sentence, the meeting was led by Colonel McClough, who advised that the dockets had been delivered to General Khumalo. And in paragraph 142, again, the last sentence, you say, in the period that they were under the control of General Sibia, these arrests were not effected for reasons not known to me. The under control, the they is referring to, I understand, is it not referring to dockets? By way, for example, at the time of their removal from the task team. Yes, removal from the task team. I understand that to be a reference to the dockets. Am I correct?
That is correct,
Yes.
Commissioner.
Yes. Now my question is, the dockets, according to 137, were delivered to General Khumalo, and in 142, they are under the control of General Sibia. This could mean one of, or two, it could refer to two possibilities. One, they could still have remained with General Khumalo, but be under the control of General Sibia, or they could have been moved physically to be under the control of General Sibia. Can you please explain that or shed light on that?
Commissioner, in order to give clarity, you'll see when I made the last statement, when I said, before the National Commissioner conducted the interview, that myself, the acting divisional commissioner of detective services, as well as General Khumalo, had a meeting, a visual meeting, discussing on how we're going to handle the transfer of this docket or the return of these dockets back. At the time, the dockets were sitting at the office of the Divisional Commissioner, Crime Intelligence, in a storeroom of one brigadier, I forgot his name, who works under the Divisional Commissioner, Crime Detection, Lieutenant General Sentumo. It is my understanding, Commissioner, that the dockets moved from Khumalo to General Sentumule from detectives on the direction of General Sibia. Matlo on 137, Colonel Matlo, is with the task team in KZN. So he was only communicating the whereabouts of the docket according to his knowledge. His knowledge was that he handed them over to General Khumalo. What General Khumalo did with them, as the commissioner is correctly asking, he couldn't answer that. And General Khumalo, in my engagement with him, was that General Sentumule and General Khumalo, both of them, had received the instruction specific from Sibia that him, Khumalo and Sentumule, they must transfer the dockets to each other. So meaning dockets coming from political killing stars team under Khumalo's signature must come to the detectives under Jara Sentumule. Hence, they landed at the storeroom of Sentumule. So, but both of them, they fall under Jara Sibia as a portfolio in the office of the National Commission. So either way, whether they are at crime intelligence under Khumalo or they are at Sentumule under at detective services, they still, both of those entities fall under Jarosbia. So if we say they're under the control of Jarosbia, we mean exactly that. He issued the instruction and he commanded those two entities.
Thank you, General.
Thank you, Chair. It's 16:13. I don't think I drove us to 13, but grateful for the indulgence. As I indicated, tomorrow morning we'll ensure that before we move to the next topic, we respond to Commissioner Khumalo's question, and then we will proceed in the normal way. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Let us adjourn. Thank you.
Andile ngesixhosa ngo-Ace Mabheka, you know. My favorite nickname of all time, like Captain Yama 2000. In everything we do, just like the African continent is the beginnings of life, right? Just like women are the beginnings of life. The SABC and SABC Sport is exactly that.
Catch Andile, Captain Yama 2000 Ngube on match days, live on Latuma. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
So you thought you were building a business? In this economy? Good luck. But day by day, somehow it grew. You became payroll, procurement, PR, and pressure valve. You kept going when the freezer didn't freeze, the bucket didn't budge, and the bank balance barely blinked. What's that saying again? What doesn't kill your business makes it stronger? Or at least it should be that. So you thought you were building a business. You weren't. It was building you. Because this isn't just what you do anymore. It's who you are. And you don't trust just anybody to protect it. Chat to your broker about Old Mutual Insure Business Insurance. Protect what built you. Old Mutual Insure Limited is a licensed FSP and non-life insurer.
This year, the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival presents 3 unforgettable days deep in the art and heart of jazz. From the 26th, 27th, and 28th of September, Umu Sankare, Ababemu, Jasmia Horn, Silent Law and the Noisemakers, Najbonk Trio, Michelle Ndinkio Cello, Willem Sini, Gabby Mutuba, and over 50 world-class acts will be ready to welcome you and yours to 4 magnificent stages of the Sandton Convention Center. Take me there. Buy your tickets at Ticketmaster now.
I was in another insurance company and I wasn't happy. One of my colleagues was also without insurance and she was happy. My niece is without insurance and she's happy. Then I just decided I wanted that happiness.
What was the real deal they could offer you?
870.
Every month?
Every month.
That's amazing. You're always getting something out.
Yeah.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands.
What brought you and Outsurance together?
I think we just jump on the call with them. Let me just see what's happening. He asked a lot of things about my vehicle, my sexy vehicle over here.
Ooh.
Yeah. And to my surprise, 718 Rand I end up saving. And this awesome product called Panic Assist. 24-hour security if we need their help. Thinking I'm a father, I need to look out for my family.
Absolutely. They gave you the real deal.
It literally is the real deal.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
So Taryn, you've just graduated cum laude, but nothing says you're a genius quite like selling your car to We Buy Cars.
Absolutely. My car was an 18th birthday present, and it's time to move on to something a bit more mature.
So where did you hear about We Buy Cars?
All of my friends are using We Buy Cars. I would have had legit FOMO if I hadn't used them. And it was so quick. I did it on my laptop while sending around my CV.
Smart move, Taryn. Graduated and upgraded. We Buy Cars. Geared for success, geared for you.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Ashraf Garda on the National Pulse.
Now, I mean, I could say that the National Pulse show starts now, but that's not true, actually, because I've often said, you know, the National Pulse is 24/7. It happens throughout the day, whether we're on air or off air. So in many ways, I may not have been talking to you today as a typical day so far, but the reality of the biggest story that moves the National Pulse has been going on all morning, and all we've done is simply reflect that. And of course, it is all about that commission. The Commission of Inquiry, the Madlanga Commission, that was sparked off by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi's allegations or testimony a few weeks ago, in fact, that sparked all this off, right? So what we'll do, let's do first things first. Let's get a sense of what has happened today. As always, you can call in 086 000 2032. We won't take your calls right away, but to save that number, you can WhatsApp in the moment, 0614 104 107. And maybe a good way to start is this: what's your one word that you would use to describe, to encapsulate what you've seen today? Not tomorrow, not some other day, today at the Madlanga Commission. Right, let's get a sense of what actually happened today with political analyst Sandile Swana. Appreciate your time, Sandile. Thanks for joining us on the National Pulse on Madlanga Commission Day.
Oh, thank you so much, Ashraf, and again, good afternoon to your listeners.
Thank you. Right, what is your sense? Just firstly, a quick answer. In just let's then give us an overview of some of the key points that emerged. We do know the Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, he spoke. He said, "You can call me just General." Of course, was first up, not surprisingly so. Give us a sense of what you saw and how do you interpret that?
So there were important preliminary steps. Advocate Mutau explained basically basic principles of our law, that as a commission, they will accept whatever allegations are there, but they do not know the conclusion of the case ahead of time. So they are neutral relative to the case, to anybody who is going to speak there. And they've got a system of testing all the allegations and counter-allegations and come to a reasonable conclusion about what actually happened. I felt that was important, bearing in mind that MKP was protesting outside the venue, saying things like fire, Antonio, all sorts of things like that. And then the other one was the opening remarks of the general himself, where he actually explained to people that police, when they do investigation and deal with evidence, they look at patterns. So basically what has brought him in front of the commission are certain patterns that he has observed in the evidence that has been coming in front of him over time. So the allegations that he was making, although there's concrete evidence behind them, but they form patterns. modus operandi in terms of criminology. So there are things that we know from the face of it. I mean, obviously, we are the public, we're not lawyers, and we're not trying to be lawyers. We've seen that it appears definitely that there's overwhelming evidence coming through that says Nkunu made a unilateral decision without reference to his colleagues in the cabinet, without reference to the president, and without reference to the command structure of the police in terms of shutting down the unit, the killing testing unit, and then also in the movement of dockets, that dockets must be moved away from their police stations, away from the province of KZN, to a certain location in the head office of the police. So the first person implicated, there are two people that from the evidence presented that I can say are implicated already. Sibia and Nkunu.
Okay, and that's an interesting thought. Now, of course, it went slightly over. Day one should have ended at 4 o'clock to about 4:15. Did anything? And it's a difficult one to say. Did anything jump off the page in terms of its pure drama?
Well, bear in mind that the evidence leader is very methodical. That's why I use the word foundation. Because in the very first piece, I think it was from 10 to 12 or something like that, or even 10 to 11, actually, I already could see that Nkunu is going to sink when they were explaining the command structure of the police, the budgeting procedures. So basically, the case that they are making is that when you do something in the police, there must be a procedure, a law that you follow, a policy that you follow. There's nothing that happens haphazard. And both of these steps, later on in the afternoon, it became clear that their actions were outside of those policies and procedures and the laws of the police, as well as the command structure. So this is not the type of thing that the average citizen would see that is fundamental. But actually, from a legal and a governance point of view, it's devastating.
How now? And of course, do you get a sense of the time spent? Because there was an initial period of, I think, 6 months, and already this morning I heard from commentators saying that is so far-fetched. It's just not going to be. It's going to be much longer than that.
It will be. It could easily be longer than that, especially if Mazanga does not narrow the scope, because as this preliminary evidence comes through, the areas of focus become clearer to me where you must focus. If you allow, because the guys, the second round of his interviews or presentations of evidence is going to be the people who are coming to oppose what the general is saying, and they are more likely to actually divert their attention or try to divert their attention to all sorts of other places. And that is what the chairman has got to be careful about, that we stick to the task at hand. And I think if it does that, within 6 months, the main culprits should have been tackled.
Is there anything, and yes, it's still early days, but anything besides some names that Lieutenant General Mkonazi mentioned, is there anything that he said that sticks out for you that already is pretty telling?
Yeah. No, I think what the public needs to know, Ashraf, sadly, is that the largest number of the political killings is not liberals going to kill communists. It's not an ideological battle. It is the battles over control of the tenders in the municipalities, control of appointing decisions so that you are the one who's able to appoint your relatives, your cousins, your preferred cadres and all that. And he said that once that decision of getting a position was no longer left to the voters, but controlled by political parties and factions within political parties, intra-party violence increased. So these are not members of the IFP going to kill ANC or ANC killing. These are ANC members killing each other, IFP members killing each other over tenders and the
Okay.
budgets and the HR.
So that's significant because, although we talk about these as political killings, effectively what you're saying, they may be coming across literally as political killings, but in reality, they are not ideological, they're not political, they're actually business motivated. And of course, these political figures are in the way of business bottom line, whoever these people are who want the big, the pot of honey, so to speak, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the market. So the politics has become a market. So there's a price. So when you get a mayorship, they are looking at the procurement budget of that, and you preside over that, and then you allocate it to certain tenderpreneurs. So the business people and Mkhwana's made it clear, the general made it clear, that basically business people become friends of the most powerful politicians. So if you become mayor, speaker, chief whip, you are the one around whom business people are going to congregate. And if you lose out on that competition to become mayor, then basically you have no dishes in front of you, you have nothing to eat.
I suppose the same, then by extension, and we can conclude with this, by extension, we can then make the same conclusion regarding what has been described as, sort of inter-policing interference with each other for the same reasons, isn't it?
No, it's one syndicate. It's basically, you must remember that once you are procuring money illegally, eventually you are going to commit other crimes. Then you need police and prosecutors who are going to help you to cover up your other crimes. So then the network expands. Then you need bigger politicians to cover up for you, etc., etc., etc.
Well, the business of politics, I would think. Let's leave it at that. Thank you for your time. I suspect we'll be having many conversations over the next few weeks or however long that's going to take, as is when the important issues develop regarding this issue on day one of the Madlanga Commission. So appreciate your time, Sandile. Thank you for joining us. Oh yeah, Sandile Swanepoel here on the National Pulse. Reaction from you, of course. You have your own observations. I know you do. And let me hear it, because you're on the pulse. I need to feel what you feel. For now, let's get the news headlines. Here's on Della Mbana.
Thank you, Ashraf. From the news headlines, KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi says he was surprised when he saw a letter confirming the disbandment of the Provincial Political Killings Task Team signed off by Police Minister Senzo Mchunu. Mchunu is currently on leave of absence. The Northern Cape Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Kimberley has welcomed the precautionary suspension of the Salt Blackie Municipal Manager Tapelo Matlala. And as the global summit Flatila is headed for Gaza, the Foreign Affairs Minister of South Africa, Bangladesh, Brazil, Qatar, Spain and others have expressed their concern about the security of the Flatila. A full update follows at the top of the hour with Kulufelo Tefu.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N3 southbound in Alexandra has a stationary truck reported before London Road, and the M2 westbound in Crown has delays towards Main Reef Road. In KZN, the N3 westbound a stationary truck after Cliffdale, the N2 southbound has a stationary vehicle after Umgeni Road, and the M13 westbound in Pinetown queuing towards the M1 Richmond Road. In Cape Town, traffic lights are working at the Racecourse Road and Coburg Road intersection in Milnerton and Voortrekker Road eastbound, queuing at the N7 Jakes Hadville Drive. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Doming Khapele.
Chumi, I do notice a complete dearth of people wearing the yellow or goldish top of the Kaiser Chiefs.
There's people actually wearing the Kaiser Chiefs
jersey?
jersey?
There's a dearth, there's an absence. I noticed an absence. I was looking around, I see nothing.
Well, that's not what I'm starting with. A very good afternoon to you, Ashraf, and our listeners. Let's start things off with rugby, where Springbok coach Rassie Rasmus has retained most of the players who beat New Zealand in his 33-man squad for the final 2 rugby championships against Argentina in Durban and London on the 27th of September and the 4th of October, respectively. Now, the Boks will be without Louis de Jager, Jean-Luc Depree, and Apalele Fassi, amongst others, due to injuries, and with all 4 teams separated by just 2 points on the log, the last 2 rounds will be decided, or will decide the champions, making every game and every point crucial. Meanwhile, the DHL Stormers have been boosted by the signing of Volkolo, who returns to the side on a long-term deal from the start of the 2026-27 season. So this means that the 31-year-old will feature for the Bulls in the upcoming 2025-26 season. Now, Lowe started his career at the Stormers back in 2015 and started with the team until 2019 when he left for Toulon in France. He then represented the Harlequins from 2020 to 2023 before signing the Bulls in 2023. Then in football, TS Galaxy attacker Nhlanhla Mkaka says that they won't be underestimating Richards Bay when the two sides meet at the Umhlatuze Stadium tonight. This will be a special night for Richards Bay as they finally return to their home ground. For the past 3 seasons, the Natal Rich Boys had to play all their home matches in Durban. This is because their local stadium did not meet the Premier Soccer League standards. And after 3 years of upgrades, the Umhlatuze Stadium is now ready to host top flight football again.
We know as a team that it's not going to be an easy game. So that's why we're preparing very well, because even on FIFA break, we didn't rest enough. So that's why that's why I'm saying we are ready for them. Actually, I don't know what to say, because I always want to see myself playing, that's all. And I'm willing to help the team to go forward. We'll see when we get there. But as a professional player, you should play in every pitch.
Meanwhile, Kaizer Chiefs are gearing up to leave for Angola tomorrow. This is ahead of their opening CAF Confederations Cup fixture against Kabuskop on Saturday in Luanda. Amakosi are still licking their wounds from last night, their 3-1 loss to Skukune. And head coach Nasruddin Nabi says that the best way they can do is bounce back from this loss.
Le moral des joueurs leur donner, on doit tirer quand même les leçons de cette défaite, mais il faut rester la tête haute.
Just spoke to the players that an accident can happen like today, but what we need to see is a reaction. And it's to keep our heads up and to be ready for the next game. Especially it's an African game. It's like 2 games. It's like knockout, which we need to deal with very different approach. And we need to learn from the mistakes that we made today and concentrate and prepare better ourselves for next game.
Well, actually, in news just coming in, Ashraf, according to SABC senior journalist Mazola Molefe, Kaizer Chiefs have actually decided to let go of Coach Nabi. It has not been confirmed yet by the club. However, Mazola is saying that it seems like the club is letting him go. This is due to a breach in contract. This is reportedly because it seems like he does not have a valid license to be on the bench for CAF Confederations competition, meaning there's a chance that he could have possibly not told the truth about the license that he has.
But I mean, he's just come back from Morocco, right? Have I got it right?
Tunisia, where the wife,
Yeah.
So
Mazola is Fabrizio of South Africa, right? I mean,
Mazola, yeah.
I mean, yeah, he is Fabrizio. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
So we are yet to hear final word from Kaizer Chiefs if the coach has been let go or not. However, I'm also seeing that SABC News is also confirming the fact that Nabi and Chiefs will be going their separate ways with immediate effect. I did check all the social pages and the website of Kaizer Chiefs. Nothing as yet has been confirmed. So we're waiting with bated breath to see if that is actually going to happen.
I wonder if it'll come up in the Madlanga Commission, but anyway. Okay.
Well, elsewhere, Chelsea manager Enzo Maresca says that he's fully aware of the big challenge Chelsea will face when they take on Bayern Munich in their first match of the season's UEFA Champions League. He says that his side will take things one game at a time. In other selected fixtures tonight, PSG take on Atalanta, Liverpool host Atletico Madrid, and Inter away to Ajax. Then in cricket, Dumis Kukune has expressed excitement at making the cut in the Proteas women's squad to represent South Africa at the ICC Women's World Cup, which commences in under 2 weeks in India and Sri Lanka. Now, Skukune, who claimed 1 wicket in their first of the 3 ODI matches against Pakistan yesterday, says that the next step is for her to establish some consistency in her performance to make a meaningful impact in the team.
I'm very excited to go to this World Cup. I think, I did well this previous season, and I think I also want to just be consistent and, always be present, especially in contributing to the team. I think, going into this one, I'm anxious but super excited. Both my personal goals and just the pressure from the country. I think we've done so well these couple of years, and I think we also want to, make the country and make our families proud. But I think if we take it game by game, I think we'll be fine.
On that note, I'll definitely be keeping a close eye on what Kaizer Chiefs is saying. Other than that, I'll be back again in the next hour.
And just by the way, before we end, I see Manchester United, no, they haven't sacked their coach, in case you're worried. They've announced a record revenue of £665 million sterling, right? For this year, financial year ending 2025, despite missing out on Champions League football. We just worked it out. Okay.
Think you cannot afford a lawyer? Think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195, and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Power, land, loyalty, blood. In the heart of Montana, the fight for the Dutton Ranch is far from over. Betrayals cut deep, enemies close in, and every choice could be their last. Yellowstone, Season 4, where family is everything and nothing is off limits. Every Tuesday, starting September 2nd at 7 p.m, only on S3. S3, open up.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
All right, well, many people are keeping an eye on the Madlanga Commission. Paswane Mpatlele is keeping an eye on the markets. You've got news about momentum, right?
Momentum, the insurer. They gave us the full year results, and it was a fantastic year for the insurer. They delivered record profit earnings above their peers, supported by the retail performance, the corporate, most of the divisions, including investment. Operational strength, we're seeing it across the different segments with double-digit growth, and the profits, as the headline earnings per share normalizes, up 41%. And it looks like the guys are controlling their cost very well, and they've increased their dividends paid by 40% and continued with their buyback program of their shares, a positive signal for shareholders and reflecting confidence. If you had to look for any dent in their performance, is the sales, the new business sales, they've come down slightly. It's just reflecting the guys must cheer and work on more policy sales going forward. When we look into the market developments, South African inflation, we cooled to 3.3%, and this was very surprising as to expectations, supported by the easing of food pricing and the fuel costs. And while we look at the likes of retail sales that are a big supporter of GDP, they rose to a high of 5.6% on a year-on-year, thanks to consumer spending patterns improving, where they looked to non-essential goods like clothing and footwear. General dealers are getting supportive, and the likes of household improvements. And when we look at the global developments, it's interest rate decision from the US, and investors later on expect a 25 basis points cut from the Fed, and they have high hopes of an actual 50 basis points, as they see seen last year this time, reflected in the yield movements that has been ticking slightly lower, which can be seen as an incredible signal. But investors are generally also taking a hedging position by buying legs of good options to protect themselves. When we look at the gold pricing, it's down slightly at $3,684 an ounce. Still room to go above that $3,700 an ounce. Oil is flat at $68.40 a barrel, holding very positive bullish momentum. Investors are betting that these cuts would yield growth and lift inflation. U.S. indices are seeing the Dow up, Nasdaq down, and S&P's down 0.1. We're also looking at Europe indices that have rebounded, FTSE and the DAX up 0.4. And when you look at the JSE, it continues to put on more gains, up 0.5, boosted by industrials up 1.3, financials is up 0.1, and resources have eased their losses to 0.3. On the currency space, the rand is continuing to show some strength, holding its gains, 1734 against the dollar, 2056 against the euro, and 2370 against the pound.
Right, perfect. Thanks for that, Paswani. We'll connect again, tomorrow, but a reminder too, Jimmy Muyaha comes up from 6 to 7 for an hour of the SAFM Market Update.
Good day, South Africa. Mark Haskins here, SABC Sport Football Analyst. My favorite meal between breakfast, lunch, and supper is probably breakfast, even though I'm very much a foodie, so I don't turn away food at any time of the day. I remember the guys used to sing Tula Mama, Mama, Mama. And then when we translated, it was like, really? You're telling your mom to be quiet? Is that really something you would do? What I love about South African football fans is really the passion. My favorite African dish, I would have to say, is mogodo. We call it pens and poikis because of my big calves. I've always been called potris. You know, just make sure you tune in, make sure you support the SABC. We will bring you the best local content and international content.
Catch the exciting analysis of the beautiful game on match days with Mark Haskins, proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The Reds are confident they will secure victory on home soil, but the neighborhood kickers want to demonstrate how serious they are about winning away from home. This is the Bundesliga. Football as it's meant to be. VfB Stuttgart takes on St. Pauli on Friday, September 19th at 8:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Right, we're going to take your calls just now because I know you have something to say, particularly about the goings on day one of this all important commission. But let's talk about a different sort of commission, I suppose. An election, in many ways, is a judgment on the state of a nation. And what about the position regarding Malawi? Well, vote counting is underway in Malawi after yesterday's presidential election. That we understand is going to be a very tight race between the president, Lazarus Chakwera, and the former president, Peter Mutharika. Right, let's understand what's at stake here with George Mhango, the Channel Africa correspondent based in Malawi. George, thank you for connecting with us on the National Pulse.
Yeah, thank you. A very good afternoon. The situation as it stands now, the Arthur Peter Mutharika, the former vice president, is leading, but otherwise those are kind of unofficial results. So destined to a second round of now.
Perhaps let's just go a step back in terms of understanding what's the nature of this election, meaning what's the procedure? South Africa's elections are very, very differently run to Malawi. So what's the procedure of how this election is being run?
Very different in terms of the South African politics, because South African politics it's about it's elective through the parliamentary, but here we talk about the presidential. So whoever wins, but otherwise whoever wins in Malawi, it means yes, he has the majority. But that majority now was defined within the confines of the 2024 election, the fresh presidential poll. Now, what it means is 50% plus one, and a presidential candidate has to win that one. But it's a tough one. But otherwise, Arthur Peter Mutharika, the former vice president, is now leading in most of the constituencies.
All right, so it is a vote for the president, but also, as opposed to a party, but also then you have a separate vote for candidates to the Malawian parliament, right?
Sharp. In terms of the Malawian parliament, we're talking about 228. And these people have to be ushered into parliament. Previously, based on the legal aspect, it was 193. Now we're talking about 223. But otherwise, it's going to be a very tough ride. But, you know, notable people have lost the parliamentary seats because based on the unofficial results, a number of incumbent parliamentary candidates have lost, which signals to the fact that the government, the incumbent government, is not in the lead as it stands now.
Okay.
Why I'm saying so is because just quickly, why I'm saying so is because the UTM party, which used to be governed by the former vice president, the late Saulos Chilima, I mean, is leading now in terms of the parliamentary candidates. So that signals quite a number of things, but otherwise, it's Saulos Chilima, yes, good, but otherwise, the incumbent president is losing big time in terms of the figures. So Lazarus Chakwera is losing in terms of the figures now.
What are the choices that the electorate faces in choosing? And I understand it's more than just two candidates. There's many, but I mean these are the two leading candidates. But in choosing one over the other, what's on the table here? What's the point of differentiation between the one and the other?
The appreciation is that the second round is going to happen because one for sure is the southern region is dominated by opposition political parties. The opposition political parties are dominating in the southern region. We are talking about Arthur Peter Mutharika, the former president. You are talking about Josie Banda, the former president. We are talking about the incumbent vice president now, Michael Usi. We are talking about the reserve governor, Daliso Kabambo. These people are very influential if it comes to the second round. So that second round definitely is going to swing way to the southern region. Southern region, Fine Good is dominated by Cyclone Freddy. Previously, we're talking about the Cyclone Idai. So those kind of things, but otherwise, yeah, those are the issues that people talk on. But otherwise, fuel is a very critical issue. Fuel is a very critical issue. Yeah, sure. And the bread, fertilizer, we're talking about labor relations. These are very critical issues if it comes to Blantyre being a commercial capital. But otherwise, yes.
Okay, let's leave it at that. George Mahango, the Channel Africa correspondent based in Malawi. This is the Malawi election. People have voted already. I understand the presidential election will be announced around 24th, 25th of September. And then the other results for the other candidates to parliament will happen a few days later. Who's going to get the nod? We'll track that story. You are connected to the National Pulse.
Think about 6 years ago, when Amapiano was just a musical instrument, when streaming meant watching water flow, not videos online, and remote work was only said when your remote batteries died. So it makes you wonder, what will the next 6 years bring? All Hino trucks now come standard with a 6-year drivetrain warranty, covering everything from pistons to gears. So although a lot can change in 6 years, our warranty promise won't. T's and C's apply. Hino, all the way.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
The Seagulls believe the ideal scenario to triumph is in front of their home crowd.
And Gruder's in. Can he win it for Brighton? Brilliant from Gruder, and he tucks it away!
Meanwhile, Spurs want to tighten the grip with maximum points to remain in the top half of the table.
João Palhinha does. First league start for Spurs, and he scores at the home of Manchester City.
This is the Premier League. Experience Brighton and Hove Albion versus Tottenham Hotspur on Saturday 20 September at 3:30 p.m. Live on SABC3 and SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM. SAFM.
Okay, lots to come from you. Let's get to some of the many comments we've had. Here's one.
Hi, Ashraf and the SAFM. Ashraf, if maybe we're having the person like, Mukwanasi as a president of this country, we're paying a little tax due to and even not many people inside the jail because they will be afraid of committing the the crime because they will be arrested. So we'll having a crime-free South Africa, crime-free drugs and so on and so on.
Well, I hear you. I think we mustn't confuse the two. In terms of his testimony is one thing. It has to be tested, remember? And then because of his testimony, damning as it may be, and maybe as sobering as it may be, it doesn't necessarily equate that he should be the president. And if he was the president, he would change things. I'm not saying he is not presidential material, not at all. It's not for me to say that. But it is a bit premature, don't you think?
Ashraf, good afternoon, man. Flores here from the beautiful winelands. Central Nkhonazi. Yeah, he looks confident. He looks comfortable. And yeah, I just hope that he can back up all those allegations that he's making. But yeah, it's looked like we're going to be in for the long haul. This is not just going to be over in 6 months, according to what the defense commissioner, the leading commissioner already is asking of him. Have a good job. Bye-bye.
Okay, it's now the winelands. What happened to Florence on the Western Cape? I'm just checking. I do listen,
Ashraf and your team. The reason MK party is going around like headless chicken, they are afraid that Mkhwanazi might just mention the 2011 incident when Ubaba Wabo, their father, was in charge of the country and decided to bench him and put Riapiecha as a commissioner. And then they persecuted him. That is why they are going around not happy about this commission going ahead. That's the only logical reason.
Okay, so you know the only logic already. I wonder. Right, here's another.
Ashraf, there's one word that I can say is insightful. And the lady who's leading, the commissioner who's leading, she's really, really impeccable. Everything was clear. She was running things smoothly. Everybody can understand what's happening.
Okay. I hear that too. And that'll be more interesting about your one word. There's another one word.
Good afternoon, Ashraf, your team and the listeners. One way to describe, or rather a few words to describe Madlanga Commission today. General Mkhwanazi, eloquent, the best civil servant. Thank you very much.
Okay, interesting. Eloquent and the best civil servant. The chief story is not going away, clearly.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Yo. I just want to say thank you to Eric Tingler. Skukune United, thank you guys. You make my day today. Chiefs were talking too much. Now Skukune just say, hey, keep quiet. It's very, very, very nice to me. It's honorable Magwekaya Kubana. Ekapa Belgezile. Thank you, Skukune United. Thank you, Eric Tingler.
You're obviously not a Kaizer Chiefs supporter. I thought you could talk about the coach because there's been these multiple reports now suggesting that Nasruddin Nabi ouch. But we'll find out exactly what that is as soon as there's no official confirmation, but there are multiple reports about that.
Ashraf, good afternoon. I'm Tagata in Lani location of Mvaba. Thanks, President Ramaphosa, for making that comparison between the municipality that are led by DA and the municipality that are led by ANC. That is maturation in politics. It is not helping people of South Africa to be a partisan. Sometimes it is better to see the colors as they are. If it's red, say it's red. If it's black, it's black. Thanks, Mr. Ramaphosa. And those municipalities that are complaining in the Western Cape, I'm talking about black communities, it is them who are chasing away services because of this extortionist. Thanks, Takatai.
Well, I mean, that could be, I mean, that point about, that came through in the conversation I had with Sandile Swana to say that a lot of these political hits are not actually political hits. What they are hits that appear political, but they're actually motivated by business profiteering. So all of obviously illegal business, which means they're getting people out of the way, people in leading positions of power at local council level.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. This is Makware Shinyazo from Thoyando. You know what, Ashraf? One word to describe today's sittings of Majanga Commission, I would say it was so intense, especially from the General Mkhwanazi. You know, he was not even afraid or shy, you know, and he did not even contradict himself because he knew what he was talking about even from the beginning, you know, especially when it comes to the issue of disbanding that tax team. What motivated the minister to do so?
Huh? You're very happy. You're very, very upbeat about what's happened so far. Right, I'll tell you what, there'll be more calls. We will take calls. We'll take WhatsApps. You can also comment. You can tweet. You can post tweets on the X platform. Tag SAFM Radio. Tag me, Ashraf Garda. Do not forget, as always, using that hashtag, the National Pulse. It's been a very different day because, of course, the first hour of the show today dedicated in large part to, not large part, exclusively so, to that all-important commission on day one of that, but we'll get further reaction of that. Right now, here's the news with Kolofelo Tefu.
Thanks, Ashraf. Top stories at 5. Testimony on disbandment of political killings task team and call for the protection of humanitarian flotilla. Good afternoon. KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi says he was surprised when he saw a letter confirming the disbandment of the provincial political tax team signed off by Police Minister Senzo Mchunu. Mchunu is currently on leave of absence. Mkhwanazi says the letter was shown to him on the 2nd of January this year by a person who is not in the police force. The political tax team killings, which was disbanded at the end of December last year, is at the center of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Mkhwanazi says Mchunu was not authorized to disband the team.
The investigations that some of them were already in court and some of them were underway, and the clients, which is the community out there, the victims of crime, the families of the victims of crime that needed closure with regard to the work that the team was doing, we're going to be affected by this letter. That's why I was surprised, because getting it from a private person who is not involved in police operations was a surprise.
The Northern Cape Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Kimberley has welcomed the precautionary suspension of the Sol Plaatje municipal manager Thapelo Matlala. Matlala is accused of alleged corruption and maladministration after he was mentioned in a Sunday newspaper article. It is alleged that he had corrupt dealings and was being probed by the Office of the Public Protector and other law enforcement agencies. The Chamber CEO Sharon Stein says his suspension should not be seen as a political move, but a much-needed change for the city.
I'm just very glad that a decision was made. I do believe that they need to continue investigations, have a look at the way forward, and take it seriously as to where the municipality is lying at this particular moment. So that is for us as business very, very important. The fact that he has been precautionally suspended, we are very, very happy with that. Do the investigations, get to the answer as fast as we can, get in correct person that has the criteria and is preferably Northern Cape, and that will take our province, our citizens and our business forward.
Matlala's suspension has left some residents worried about service delivery, while others have called for his resignation.
Very much worried and concerned at the very same time as members of this community of Krazanipa. There is nothing that we believe will ever take place within our community with suspension.
Suspension, it means he's getting paid for free now. So according to me, they must get rid of him and bring in somebody else that can do the job. So I believe he must be replaced.
I'm not worried. He can step down because they do not help us. They have forgotten Buckley Road. Even the councillors don't care about us.
In the courts, the trial of 6 men accused of mass murder of 18 people at Ngobazana village in Lusikisiki in the Eastern Cape has been adjourned until tomorrow. Accused number 1 and alleged mastermind Mzukisi Ndamase is expected to continue with his cross-examination of accused turned state witness Luando Abi when the trial resumes in the Mthatha High Court special sitting in Lusikisiki Magistrates Court. Ndamase has refuted the testimony of Abi that he relocated to East London because he was scared of him, but instead turned the tables to Abi that he relocated to East London after killing a man named Gubela in Dukwa. Abi told the court that he killed Gubela because he ill-treated him while he stayed at his home. In other news, the Justice Department and other legal stakeholders are assisting communities to draft wills in Polokwane, Limpopo this week. This is part of an awareness campaign to assist in the administration of assets of those deceased. The department says many people in rural Limpopo have not yet realized the significance of drafting a will. Residents Emily Mabalane and Muitse Railu say wills are essential in resolving family conflicts.
As I am speaking, I do have a will. It is important because I don't want my children and family to fight over my asset. It resolves conflict in the family.
I think a will is very important. The husband and the wife must sit down and write a will. They should also include their children in their properties like farms, livestock, taxes, because no one knows tomorrow.
And finally, further afield as the global Samud flotilla is headed to Gaza, the foreign affairs ministers of South Africa, Brazil, Qatar and others have expressed their concern about the security of the flotilla. The convoy of vessels with activists from over 40 countries are going to Gaza to break Israel's blockade in the enclave. They have had some setbacks after a drone hit some boats. Kylie Hlukumalo has more.
Some of the activists on board the vessels, including Osimandla Mandela, Swedish activist Greta Thunberg and others. They want to deliver humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip and raise awareness about the urgent humanitarian needs of the Palestinians. The foreign affairs ministers have called on everyone to refrain from any unlawful or violent act against the flotilla. They further say any violation of international law against the vessels in international waters will lead to accountability.
The top story for 5 o'clock, KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi says he was surprised when he saw a letter confirming the disbandment of the provincial political tax team signed off by Police Minister Senzo Mchunu. Headlines at 5:30 for SFM News. I'm Kulufelo Defo.
In sports, the Sour Kaizer Chiefs reportedly parts ways with head coach Nasruddin Nabi, and in the business of sport, we talk about why rugby has a commercial problem. More details at 5:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 southbound in Johannesburg, slow moving towards Boysons, and Dustwood Tunnel southbound in Pretoria, a stationary truck reported at the tunnel. In KZN, Rick Turner Road is queuing, that's opposite the University of KwaZulu-Natal, and on the N2 southbound, a stationary vehicle reported after Umgeni Road. In Cape Town, the N2 southbound has a stationary vehicle, that's after Umgeni Road. The N1 outbound is slow moving towards Okavango Road, and the M5 southbound is where a crash is reported near Berkeley Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
It's a tough day for Mark. Tight deadlines and challenges everywhere. But Mark can rest easy because when he bought his Hino 700 2845 truck tractor, he received a complimentary service plan covering up to 210,000 kilometers for short haul and up to 280,000 kilometers for long haul. Nice one, Mark. Visit your dealer today to find out more about this limited time offer. Hino, all the way. T's and C's apply.
This Heritage Month, SAFM invites you to journey into the past while shaping the future under the theme, Reimagine Our Heritage Institutions for a New Era. We celebrate the stories, traditions, and voices that define who we are as a nation. From vibrant conversations to thought-provoking debates, SAFM is where heritage meets innovation, connecting generations and keeping our culture alive in a changing world. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
So it's day one of the what will be called, well, it is called the Madlanga Commission. This is commission of inquiry into criminality, political interference and corruption in the criminal justice system. That's the long words. And so far, in terms of the conversation I had with Sandile Swana earlier, said one word, foundation, because that's really what it is, just the foundations being set for what could be a long, long haul. Let's get another take on this. Of course, you have your own opinions on it. Let's get another take on it with Sibatle Mota, the SABC News reporter, who's also been covering that story. Appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us on the National Pulse.
Good afternoon to you, Ashraf, and good afternoon to the listeners.
Thank you. Right. So, of course, it's your job. You're on the beat, but even then, you have an expectation going into day one, and then day one's over. And what was your expectations versus the reality?
I think my expectation coming into this commission, I expected the auditorium to be full to the brim, which it was not. And I think I expected Lieutenant General Ndlatla Mkhwanazi to just start dropping those bombs, But I mean, as you had correctly stated in your intro, what a political analyst, Sandile Swana, had said is that this is the foundation, where he went into his qualifications and how he got to the position that he is. And he even took us through the structure of the SAPS as to who authorizes what and all those things. So I think today was such a good foundation that was laid by General Mkhwanazi. And after lunch, we saw that we finally got into the meat of the allegations that he had made during his July 6th press briefing before the media. I mean, we heard those explosive allegations that he made against Police Minister Senzo Mchunu, as well as Deputy National Police Commissioner General Shadrack Sibia.
Of course, I mean, a lot of this commission, rises and falls on the basis of Lieutenant General Mkonazi's testimony, because what happens next is a reaction to that, right? So in terms of the allegations today, were they very similar to the allegations that were made public a few months ago? Did he add on extra to that? And what came out of it you'd like to share?
I mean, what I think he did very well is just highlight the sort of events that led to this disbandment of the political killings task team, which one could actually define as the straw that broke the camel's back. And before the disbandment of the political task team, I mean, there were two figures, Ket Matlala, who the SAPS had actually had a search of a warrant of search and seizure, which ultimately led to the political killings task team. So he kind of like links those two to say that he believes these were the reasons that the political killings task team was actually disbanded. And he places also Senzo Mchunu at the heart of it, stating that he had no reason to disband the political task team. And if I could just also take you back to his initial testimony, he had started highlighting the successes of the political killings task team. He had told the commission that the political killings task team had helped in solving some of the murders that had happened in Fort Hare in the Eastern Cape. And he had actually said that they were even roped in to help with other cases that include the killing of traditional leaders in the Eastern Cape as well. And because of their proven record, they were then asked to come assist here in Gauteng to try and crack this crime syndicate, which they believe had infiltrated law enforcement agencies, and hence the names of Ket Matlala came up, as well as Katiso Molefe, who the SAPS had actually searched their homes and had warrants to go in. And this actually happened in December, ultimately leading to the disbandment of the political killings task team at the end of December which was sanctioned rather by Police Minister Senzo Mchunu.
What do you make of Mkonazi's testimony? I mean, it's early days, but a lot of it, people look at the content, what was actually said, but also how he came across. What can you tell us about that?
I think what I can make of his testimony is the fact that this is a police service that is sometimes hindered in doing their work. I mean, him highlighting the fact that he believes that Police Minister Senzo Mchunu was actually influenced even in disbanding this political killings task team. And I do believe that while they've had some successes, I think he had just somehow reached the limit in a sense that they could not crack certain cases, especially here in Gauteng or even around South Africa, because he believes that certain political figures are standing in his way. So I think he's just blowing the top open in terms of exposing this sort of corruption within the SAPS. And it actually extends to other departments as well. So I think as time goes on, we will make, these are still allegations. They haven't been tested, and they can only be tested in phase 2 of the commission, where other witnesses will be called, including your General CBS, your Senzo Mchunus, even Fanny Masimula. So it's still early days to determine how it is. But as we all know, Police Commissioner Mkhwanazi, he's a firm man. He says, I think he says what he says, and he says he does have the proof to actually demonstrate that Senzo Mchunu may actually be linked to these criminal syndicates, as well as have had a hand in this political killings task team.
What about the explanation up front about the processes that the commission will follow?
So earlier, the chief evidence leader, Advocate Terry Mudau, had actually highlighted that this commission will take place in 3 phases. The first phase is the one that we are currently in, where Mkhwanazi will elaborate on the allegations that he has made, and he's also expected to name these perpetrators. The minister that he has named already, General Shedrick Sibia. He's also expected to name the institutions that he believes may have been, aiding even corruption, or who were the victims of this corruption. And the second phase is when your General Fani Masimulas will be called, various witnesses will be called, some who were part of this political killings task team. And this is where, as well, the cross-examination may happen, and as well as other witnesses that include your Senzo Mchunos coming through, as well as Sibia coming through as well. And then the third and final phase is Mkhwanazi being called back to the commission, where they can test if his allegations actually hold water, any water, if I can actually say it like that. And that's where we are supposed to conclude it. And as you know, 2 reports are supposed to be delivered within the 6 months, where all these phases have taken place.
Now, let's just go back to, I think, the briefing that was held about maybe 2 weeks ago or so, and again, confirmation that this inquiry can make recommendations, it can make findings, but it actually can't nail anybody down in particular, right? How much of that was explained again today?
Not much of it was explained, but what I can say is that, we've seen it in the past where people actually complained about the Zondo Commission, saying that it cost the taxpayer close to $1 billion, yet no, tangible prosecutions have been made. So as we know, commissions in most cases never, they only make recommendations, rather. They can never actually prosecute anybody else. And hopefully, then this will be the job of these law enforcement agencies. And also with Mkhwanazi's testimony, we can only hope that through his testimony, maybe these law enforcement agencies will not be politically hindered, and they can actually get the job done in whatever recommendations that the commission will make.
Okay, just the last thing. Anything else you'd like to add that you think really stood out that you'd like to share?
I think what really stood out for me is just the sort of extent that the corruption within law enforcement agencies had actually spread. And crime in South Africa, I think, Ashraf, affects everybody, and one can't help but think that resources that could be helping ordinary South Africans somehow the minister, these allegations say that he took the political killings task team away. And this actually stands in the way of justice. And hopefully this commission will somehow remedy the fact that ordinary South Africans also deserve some form of protection from the crime that has plagued South Africa.
Okay. Lastly, any clear plan of what happens tomorrow morning?
So tomorrow morning, we can expect Mkhwanazi to continue his testimony. And right now, the commission actually concluded with him speaking about the 121 dockets and who authorized the 121 dockets to be taken by Sibia. So I think a lot of the testimony will center around the 121 dockets that have been in the media for quite some time now.
Okay, let's leave it at that. Appreciate your time. It's going to be a busy period for you, I'm sure of that. Sibantle Mota, the SABC News reporter, covering the story on the day one, in fact, of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. You are connected, and so am I, umbilically in many ways, to the National Pulse.
In fitness, as in finance, endurance is key. If you're 55 and older, you can get an interest rate of up to 10.62% with a Nedbank Electronic Optimum Plus account. Now feel the earn. Invest in under 2 minutes on the Money app and get money fit with Nedbank. See money differently. Nedbank. We're licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply. For more info, visit nedbank.co.za.
The Morning Brief.
Truly.
Yes, brother.
I'm so surprised.
Hey.
After a long time, the people of Ditsohot are suffering about the criminals who are occupying municipality, dividing themselves, 2 mayors, 2 MM. Today, Ramaphosa is when he recognized the suffering of the people of Ditobot. Next year, the very same stupid president, so-called Cyril Ramaphosa, is going.
We don't do that on this show. We don't call people stupid.
Give us a right phrase to pronounce him, because it's a stupid president.
I want to take a call from Matlakala in Davidton. Please go ahead.
Yeah, man, I just wanna call out to Khoto, man. What he's doing is actually unacceptable to the city. No matter how much differences you can have with a person, you cannot insult them.
Tulasizwe Simelane on the Morning Brief. The National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
Right, I need to hear what you say about the goings-on of the Madlanga Commission, but it's not exclusively that. I mean, really, you can talk about anything that you want to talk about here. Get it off your chest. This is the National Pulse. Let's do this, right? In doing that, you can call in live. Save the number as per always. Save the call-in number. Save the WhatsApp voice number and text number so that you've got it. And you do follow SAFM Radio on the X platform, but of course you can follow us on all platforms. SAFM on the X platform, Twitter, on Facebook, on TikTok as well as on Instagram, wherever it is, we've got you covered. To call 086 0002032, and then to WhatsApp it's 0614 104 107 0614 104 107. Right. So let's do this. We'll take your calls. You can start calling in right away. But in the meantime, let me remind you of this. The Spar Baby Proteas will take part in the Netball World Youth Cup 2025 in Gibraltar from the 19th to the 28th of September. So these are our rising stars. Hashtag Together We Rise, brought to you by the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
To Victor, we go in Buffalo City. Hi, Victor.
Good afternoon to you, Ashraf. I'm calling you for the first time, I listen to your show every day.
Oh, good. Well done. Welcome to the show. Thank you for calling in too, Victor.
I'm speaking about the strike that we have in Buffalo City. All the municipal buildings are out of operation.
What do you mean all are out of operation?
All of, even the ratepayers' office too, when you go to pay the rates, the guys dump toilet mess in front of the windows, the doorway. It's all closed.
So you're saying because of a protest strike? Have I got that right?
Yeah, I'm not too sure of the protest strike, but I know it's municipal strike. All the buildings are closed. Even you go into the rural area, Dansani and Berlin and Elita, all the offices are closed.
And how long are they closed for now?
It started last week, but today is completely down.
How long? Okay, so it's just over a week. What do you feel about it?
How I feel about it, I'm trying to get to the ratepayers' office. I can't get there,
Okay, so
it's closed.
All right. Not happy, maybe, Victor. Thanks for calling in, and you've brought it to our attention. Maybe it's an issue that we may even follow up with. I'll get Keys and Temba just to follow up that story as to potentially covering it as well, maybe in the day ahead as well. Victor in Buffalo City, welcome to the show for the very first time as well. Stembele in Flagstaff, hi.
Thanks for taking my call.
Pleasure. Right. What's your point today?
I think the president is on a very fast pace campaigning for the third term on upcoming elections. I'll tell you why. The ANC has proven to be declining, and if that remains as it is, or it indeed goes down, and DA proves to be on an upward trajectory, I think that the DA will be on a position to dictate as to who should become the president, and the ANC will remain with no choice but to give the DA what they want, or what they will want by then. So I think that because the President Cyril Ramaphosa proves to be working well with the Democratic Alliance. So his statement to say the municipalities led by the Democratic Alliance are doing well, he is trying to position himself be called by the DA or to have the support.
All right, I hear what you're saying about him positioning, and we can have that debate all afternoon. But did you say that he's also positioning himself to be the president of the country? Did you say president of the ANC or president of the country for a third term? Because both of them, according to my understanding, are not allowed at the moment.
President of obviously. That the ANC is not going to allow him to become the president for the third time, leading the party. But it can be compromised if the ANC does not have the majority vote as it has been proven to have been on last elections. So if for instance DA has proved or has improved, I mean to say, and the ANC has declined the league. So that will put the DA on a position to dictate as to who should become the president of this country. And the ANC will remain with no choice but to adhere to what the DA will be saying by then.
Okay, but then the president of the country can't be... Yes. The president can't serve for a third term of the country I'm talking about now.
That's the policy of the ANC.
But it's the policy of the country as well, unless I'm wrong. I don't think you can... You can't stand for a third term for the president of South Africa?
If Ashraf, it will come to a point where ANC will have no voice at all, but maybe we'll have a small margin in terms of the votes with the Democratic Alliance, and they can always waive the likes of Action SA and BOSA and others to say, okay, let's come together and force the ANC because they have this. A little bit of big votes than ours, but we can be able to force them to give us the president that will be of our choice.
All right, listen, we have to save your call and see how true or far-fetched that may be, Stembele. First of all, I mean, at the moment, it's not allowed constitutionally, not from the ANC, but from the government of South Africa. That's number one. Number two, if the ANC is that weak that the DA then can force the Ramaphosa now to change tune and really be part of them, then why wouldn't they choose their own president from the DA rather than a president from the ANC that will be the DA president of South Africa, even though it's illegal knockout? I'm rather confused.
The president came up comparing the DA municipality with the ANC municipalities and saying it's straightforwardly that DA comes tops. But had it been me saying that on the radio, you would be the first one to kill me. And then the rest would be the loyalists of ANC. Thanks, it's Willie and Kuma.
You are talking about me, right? I'll be the first one to kill you. No, I'm not. I want to go to heaven. I'm not going to get there if I do that to you. No ways. Not me. Okay, got that.
Good afternoon, Mr. A. No, the whole proceedings, I can simply say the guy is brilliant, man. I wish he can be the president of South Africa. The guy is cool. He knows his story from A to Z. Brilliant. Pastor Cape Town.
Which guy? The commissioner in this case, or Mkwanazi? I mean, you're not very clear. I think I know who you're talking about. I'm not going to assume anything, right? Here's another before we get to the news hits. Keep it to 30 seconds, the voice notes, please.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. There was something interesting that was mentioned in the opening statement of the commission about not cooperating with the commission or obstructing the work of the commission. You can go to jail for 6 months. I hope Zuma's supporters are listening to that. The work of the commission is very important. You cooperate fully with it and not try and obstruct. If you're required to go there and give evidence, you go there or 6 months in jail. So don't tell us about going to jail without a trial. Viga, with more respect.
You know what's interesting? I mean, the work of the commission in this case is critically important. And it's side by side to the work of the national dialogue. And you know what's going to happen? And I'm just thought about it now. They're going to be running parallel to each other. And in many ways, both of them are commissions in many ways. They're commissions of inquiry. Even the National Dialogue is a commission. I mean, I don't mean by the law. You know what I'm saying. At the same time, the Commission of Inquiry is also a national dialogue, if you understand what I mean. Let's get the news headlines here. Just gone 5:30.
Thank you, Ashraf. Good afternoon. I'm Kulufelo Defo. In the headlines this hour, KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi says he believes that suspended Police Minister Senzo Mchunu was influenced by someone to disband the KZN Political Killings Task Team. The NPA says the protection of key witnesses still remains paramount as controversial businessman Vusimusi Ket Matlala remains behind bars pending the outcomes of his attempted murder case. Matlala was denied bail at the Alexandra Magistrates Court north of Johannesburg earlier today. And further afield, a new assessment suggests that more than 24,000 people died as a result of the heat wave which hit Europe this summer. I'll have details at 6.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N17 westbound in Brakpan has roadworks reported, so there's traffic restrictions towards the R23 Heidelberg Road exit. The N3 northbound in Bedfordview slow moving on the link to the N12 east at Gilulis interchange, and Albertina Sisulu Road in Maritzburg has delays on the on-ramp to the N1 south. In KZN, the N2 southbound has a stationary vehicle reported after Umgeni Road. Rick Turner Road is queuing opposite the University of KwaZulu-Natal, and on the N2 southbound a stationary vehicle after Umgeni Road. In Cape Town, Batencross Street outbound slow moving towards the elevated freeway, Victoria Road outbound slow moving through Woodstock, and on Melkbosstrand Road westbound a crash reported before West Coast Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Doming Khapele.
Okay, to me, I'm a cozy for life. Not if you're the coach, are you?
No, absolutely not, because Kaizer Chiefs and head coach Nasruddin Nabi have reportedly parted ways with immediate effect. We're still waiting for a full statement from the club. However, reports suggest that this morning, when he arrived at the village, he was sidelined on the spot and he was told that he's suspended and must step aside from training. He did not take part in training, and the Chiefs management's explanation was that there was no valid CAF license from his side to sit on the bench in the Confederation Cup matches. But Nabi did tell them that he just renewed his CAF license today and also produced proof on the spot. However, according to these reports, the club is still investigating to check if this license was truly genuine, and therefore according to this report, he's going back to Tunisia, and he's currently still waiting on his lawyers, but we are waiting to see how this full-on story is going to unveil, or rather develop as time goes on. But now it's time for the business of sport.
The business of sports with Doming Khapele.
All right then, so today we're talking about why rugby has a commercial problem, and every single Wednesday we're talking to Cash and Sport founder Nqobile Ndlovu. Nqobile, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Let's start things off with why you think rugby is so highly reliant on the World Cup.
Good afternoon. Rugby has a bit of a challenge in that the World Cup generates over 40% of world rugby revenue. And most of the federations globally need the World Cup to essentially sustain themselves. They use that World Cup money throughout the years intervening to sustain themselves. And it's a problem because you can't run a model that way. You know, if you have one cycle where the World Cup is not commercially successful, everybody suffers. And rugby hasn't built enough currency underneath it in the leagues and the domestic competitions to sustain themselves outside of the World Cup. And it's a problem for rugby that they need to solve.
So do you think with ideas such as the Rugby Premier League, perhaps for somebody that doesn't know what the Rugby Premier League is, can you just start off by explaining that? Are they trying to somehow come up with answers to this? And why is it such a threat to world rugby?
The Rugby Premier League, for those who don't know, is essentially a rugby version of the Indian Premier League. It's essentially a franchise competition where teams, where players will be paid a lot of money to play a few rugby games. It's based out of India. It's got some American investors. And essentially the aim is to create a franchise league very similar to the IPL, but based in India. The reason why it's a threat to domestic rugby leagues is that none of the rugby leagues globally support it. It's a breakaway league, and the players are being offered the types of money that they can only dream of. Most of the players in rugby, you might think, earn a lot of money, but very probably it's only about 1 to 2% of those players who earn a lot of money. The rest of players in rugby earn quite little, actually. So this breakaway league, and there's another one called the Mzansi Rugby League, which is also threatening to crop up, which again SA Rugby and the other leagues do not support, and they don't support it because they're quite happy with the status quo. And but it's a problem because players will be tempted by the money.
So the Mzansi Rugby League, is it one and the same idea around the Rugby Premier League?
No, it's a separate league on its own. It's being formed by a player, a former player. His aim is to have a league system in South Africa around all of the provinces, and because South Africa, if many people don't know, doesn't have a rugby league. South Africa has the Springboks. It's got the franchises who play in the URC and so on, but we don't have a league. We only have competitions essentially, which is the Currie Cup and the URC and so on. But we don't have a league where you've got teams from each province and they play each other, maybe 16 teams, they play each other home and away. We don't have that.
And
that's what they're trying to do with the Mzansi Rugby League.
Do you see this working, like being successful in terms of the Rugby Premier League and the Mzansi Rugby League?
I don't think the Mzansi Rugby League will be successful, but I think the Premier League, the Rugby Premier League, could be successful because it's a breakaway league, and the types of money that they're offering is huge, and they reportedly have already signed a few players. The problem that they will have is that all of the rugby federations globally are saying that if any player signs with these leagues, they will not be able to play for their national team. And for rugby players, playing for their national team is massive. So that's a problem. But if you remember, something like this did happen before, and they threatened that players would not be able to play. If you look at what happened with Live Golf, for example, the money is just too much for players to ignore. And if you can get away with only playing maybe a couple of matches, a year, and earn just as much as if you were playing in a regular season, I mean, it's a very tough sport. Sure. If you get injured in rugby, you could be out for life. So yeah, it's far easier to do. So I don't know. I think it'll be quite interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely interesting to see how things will unfold over there. But thank you very much. That is Nobile Ndlovu, who is the Cash and Sport founder. And you can actually follow all his social pages, Cash and with the letter N, Sport. And he basically talks about all things business of sport. With that said, it is a wrap from my side. I'll be back again actually between 7 and 8, standing in for Michael Abramson. Today we're talking all things school sports.
Where's Abramson? Is with Nabi or what?
Obviously, we're going to touch on that also.
But is he with him? I'm just wondering whether they...
Oh, where's Michael?
Yeah.
I really don't know. With that said,
Spar brings you Super Savings. Get 500ml Monster Energy Drink, any two for 28 Rand, and 50 megs free data on Spar Mobile. Or 80-gram Cadbury Chocolate Slabs, any two for 32 Rand, and 100 megs free data on Spar Mobile. Plus, you could win your share of 6 million Rand in instant cash. Prices valid until 22 September 2025. While stocks last. T's and C's apply.
My name is Tabo Senong. I'm a football coach and also a SABC Sport football analyst. Besides football events, what do I like attending? It's got to be definitely seminars, workshops. If I was not coaching football, tough one, but I'll consider coaching athletics. My favorite African song, I'll definitely go for Shosholoza because of its historical significance. What I like about SABC Sport, it's got to be the SABC Sport Sport Extra show because it's very brief. It allows viewers who have busy lifestyles to catch up about the latest sports.
Catch the top-class football analysis of the beautiful game on match days with Tabo, Bookworm Sinong, live on Latuma. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Right, so we got the SFM market update coming up from 6 to 7. Well, as always, this week, hosted by Dudu Ramela. In for Jimmy. Dudu, what's on the show today?
Thank you so much, Ashraf. We can look forward to speaking to Nella Brink, a wealth manager at PSGR21, about how the markets have fared today and what's also driving movements. We also look at Momentum's results, a really good year for them again. We also look at the Banking Association of South Africa's criticism of government's withdrawal of the proposed changes to the National Credit Act. We're going to be speaking to Stephen Linnell. He's the CEO of Pay Inc. They have rebranded. They used to be BankServe Africa. He'll tell us all about that and the future of South Africa's payments landscape. We'll be speaking to Bashina Bulla because it appears, according to a report that they have published, that you and I are not all that satisfied with our service providers when it comes to the telecommunications sector. All that and more coming up at the top of the hour. But for now, let's find out how the markets have performed. Henku Kriel is standing by to help us do exactly that. Hello, Henku.
Hello, Dudu. And good evening to our listeners. Now, Dudu, in the US, they are waiting in anticipation to hear what the Fed is going to do later this evening about the interest rates. They're expecting a cut of 25 basis points. And then if that happens, we're hoping for the same tomorrow afternoon. So the Dow Jones now at the moment 0.7% stronger, the S&P 500 trading 0.1% weaker, and the Nasdaq 0.6% down. So in anticipation and not really getting much direction, doesn't know where it wants to go. In Europe, the FTSE 100 gained 0.3% today, and then the DAX 0.1%. The CAC 40 in France was the one that finished in the red. It lost 0.3% today. That was not the case here by us back at home. The JSE breaking through the 105,000 Rand or 105,000 points benchmark today, and it finished at a level of 105,368 points. And for the day, that was 0.5% stronger. So setting new records every single day as we go along. The industrial index gained 1.1%, the financial index 0.3%, but the resources index decided to take a little bit of a break and it cooled down, not by much, 0.2% weaker today. Some individual companies that gave very strong performances today on the JSE were Premier, DRD Gold, Karoo and Woolies. Premier gained 6.2%, DRD Gold 4.2%, Karoo 3.5%, Woolies 3%, and there was also Process as well as Naspers. They each gained 2.5% today. But companies that lost out today, the Life Healthcare Group, they lost 19% today. We need to find out why. Then Richmond 3% down, Sappi and Anglo finished today 2.3% weaker, and Aspen, Truworths and Kumba, they each lost 1.5%. Then let's look at the exchange rate. The rand still relatively strong against the dollar, and now trading at 17 Rand 35 to the US dollar, and at 20 Rand 55 to the euro, 11 Rand 55 to the Australian dollar, and 23 Rand 70 to the British pound. Gold price still high, now sitting at $3,685 an ounce. Silver trading at $42. Platinum $1,380, and palladium $1,160 an ounce. And the oil price now $68 a barrel on the dot. And then I'll finish this report with the price of a Bitcoin, Dudu, which is $115,700, which is still 2,030,000 Rand. So yes, Dudu, that's how the markets performed today. the US still trading, and let's see where things lead to after they find out this evening what the Fed is going to do about their interest rates.
Thank you so much, Henko Kriel. A much anticipated decision. That's it from us. Ashraf will be back at the top of the hour with more.
Perfect. We're going to hold you to that. Looking forward to that show. Yesterday's show, by the way, was terrific. 6 to 7, the SAFM market update. What's terrific is listening to you, because you, in many ways, reflects the national pulse. The pulse of the nation is very dependent on how you amplify it. So let's talk. We'll do this next.
The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Okay, we're going to get calls. We will get WhatsApp comments as well, right? And again, if you're calling in for the first time, I want to know. But listen, if you're a regular, I want to know too. Male, female, young, old, whoever you may be, politician, non-politician. Maybe you're implicated in that commission. You want to testify on air? Go ahead and do so. Sam in Durban, hi.
Hi, Ashraf. I know it's day one for Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, but just listening and just perusing through the guy's CV, he walks the talk. This guy should be at least the Minister of Police or Police Commissioner in the future. And that, I'm only going by, as I said, I know it's day one of the commission, but looking at the guy, he's been through every facet of the SAPS, facet of SAPS. And you need someone like that knows exactly what's happening in SAPS with the crime intelligence to fix this country up.
Okay, so you're saying he gets your thumbs up, eminently qualified, and maybe even more so now after you hear him out today with his CV.
And one thing, you can't take anyone's exposure that they've been through. It's more than a degree. Exposure is more than a degree. You don't need a textbook. You're exposed to these things.
Yeah. Okay, got that. That's your thoughts, Sam. I wonder, others have said so. Are we jumping the gun here with this person? Meaning it's day one, whatever his allegations are, it's got to be tested. It's going to have to be checked out. There's a lot that has to be said. And doesn't mean that he's convincing. It's a case of, hey, you know what, go for this man. But then, hey, you have your views. And why should I stop you expressing it? And you have.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. I wonder what is the media saying now, because, when Mkhwanazi went to that media briefing on the 6th of July, the media, had a narrative that Mkhwanazi is positioning himself to become the next, national commissioner. And his term of office in the KwaZulu-Natal is also coming to an end. Now, I wonder, what are they going to push for now, the media? I understand, Hanover.
Yeah, but it's such a broad statement, like the media, as if, all the media plots and plans together. It just doesn't work that way. If you follow an example of like you talk about the PSL, you've got 18 clubs. They all don't have a meeting together to say what they're going to play in their games. Each media has their own way of expressing themselves and deciding what's top of the agenda. So when we think about the media as a monolith, I think we get it wrong.
Hi Ashraf, how's it? I saw something online, and I don't know if it's AI generated, but I heard that AfriForum is gonna try to get people fired from their jobs who made fun of Charlie Kirk's killing. I just want to find out if that's true. If it is true, is it even constitutional? Because I know that you're supposed to get a warning at work. You can't just get fired right away. Thanks.
So, okay, I don't know about it. Let me answer that part. If anybody else knows something, please let us know very, very quickly about that. But I'll tell you what, that would be bizarre. I use that word often, bizarre. That would be bizarre. That's a national in another country. And whatever our views are, how is that the basis of firing someone? Lazarus, let's hear your thoughts. Hi.
Good afternoon, Ashraf, and good afternoon to your listeners.
Thank you. Go for it.
Thank you for taking my call. No, Ashraf, I'm just going to be brief, straight to the point. I'm happy that Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi has managed to connect 3 dots. I know it's day one, like the previous caller said, but I'm just happy that he was able to, as much as the commission also outlined their program, he also tried to connect some of those dots. That, for me, Man of the match for today. Thank you, Ashraf.
Okay, got that. Day one, Lazarus, thanks for that. Short, sharp, to the point. Here's another.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ashraf. Mbongo Sundisa here. Hey, Mr. Ashraf, I was so disappointed to hear that Deputy President's sons have benefited 46 million rand from Gauteng Department of Health. They got the tender to install the fire extinguishers. These guys are millionaires. They've got money, yet they are still milking the state, involving even their families. They just want to milk the state to run dry. My God, we've been taken for food for far too long. 30 years being foods of the ANC. Never. We must get rid of this party. No more.
Okay, Lazarus. Not Lazarus. I mean, we've had that. Thank you for. We'll get to. Thanks for that, Lazarus. Right. Okay, let's get to another. But again, the sense of dissatisfaction and disillusionment from many people is clearly there, right?
Good afternoon, Ashraf. I wonder what is the media saying now, because when Mkwanazi went to that media briefing on the 6th of July, the media had a narrative that Mkwanazi is positioning himself to become the next national commissioner, and his term of office in KwaZulu-Natal is also coming to an end. Now I wonder, what are they going to push for now, the media? I understand Hanover.
Again, the media. What are they going to push for?
Good afternoon, Ashraf. On this issue of the failing municipalities, so a line of march is clear to the councillors now of the ANC, which is a bit too late for me. But anyhow, how are they going to fix the mess that they have done? And I'm one of them. I'm one of the guys that was very neglected by these municipalities. How are they going to get to refund us or to reimburse us or to pay us the money that we have paid into our pension funds and provident funds that we have never received? How are they going to cover up on that thing? How are they going to get to give us our money?
Okay, there we are. Yeah. There's such a level, and I can't answer that directly, but there's such a level of frustration from so many people. Yesterday we spoke about the politics of the food, right? The politics of money and meals, and when that goes wrong, then what happens to people? Look at the example of Nepal. We hear so many examples of that here in South Africa.
Gore, Ashraf, yes, the guy who's saying the president Ramaphosa want to be the president for the third time. He doesn't understand that the Constitution of the Republic does not allow someone to be the president of the country for more than 2 terms. He can be the president of the ANC, but he can never be the president of the country. Just like when Thabo Mbeki tried to be the president of the ANC for the third time, knowing that Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma will be the deputy president of the ANC, then the president of the country. But you cannot be the president of the country for more than 2 terms.
Interesting enough, I pick in terms of the caller response about AfriForum, and whether they're pushing to have a person in South Africa critical of, or rather maybe happy that Charlie Kirk was killed, and more. There's no record of that. Okay, I certainly don't see it at all. But here's a comment from Ernst Ruetz.
It's absolutely shameful to see the extent to which some people are willing to go, also in South Africa, to encourage and celebrate and incite violence and hatred on social media. We saw this especially over the last week or so after the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk in the United States, with people in South Africa also celebrating this and encouraging such attacks also in South Africa. So at Lex Libertas, we have started an investigation into the extent to which people are inciting violence and hatred on social media. We will gather information about these people, about where they work and so forth. And we also intend to write to their employers, because we believe that an employer has the right to know if people that are working for a particular institution are engaged with incitement or celebration of violence. If you have information to share with us in this regard, to consider in this study, you can write to us at veldtochte@lexlibertas.org.za.
Okay, got that. I mean, that's some people's opinions. That's what it is now. There's not a formal charge at this point in time, right? Good afternoon. What is mind-boggling is that municipalities all over the country, they can't even pay the staff on time, or they don't have the money to pay them from Terence. Well, they definitely don't. And there's just too many examples of non-service delivery. I don't have to say that. The president said so. The president of the ANC said so 2 days ago. And there we are. And that story continues. Any further thoughts that you have on some of the issues we've been discussing? And I know, it's not exclusively so the one issue. You can raise any other issues you like. I certainly want to hear from you on this one there. Interestingly enough, I just want to pick up about this story, which is just interesting. So there's been on a website the most iconic tourist attractions in the world, and it's got a country, and then it's called their tourist attractions. So it's got things like the Great Wall of China, the Great Wall of China, India, the Taj Mahal, France, the Eiffel Tower, Canada, the Niagara Falls, Thailand, the Patong Beach, and it goes all the way down. What's interesting, there's like a list of 20, right? From an African perspective, it's the Great Sphinx in Egypt and the King Hassan II Mosque in Morocco. And then you look, and I look down, and I'm trying to find Table Mountain in Cape Town, and I don't see it. Now, of course, it's a list, and with lists, there's lists and there's lists, right? And you can create your own list as well. But I mean, you would think out of like 20 that Table Mountain can't make that as an iconic tourist attraction. I'm quite puzzled. Well, let me put this to you. What for you would be seen as South Africa's most iconic tourist attraction to the world? That is not just to South Africans, to the world. What is it that you see? Because I'd like to know how you feel about this, right? There's more comments coming from you, and let's pick up on that. No surprise till here's another comment about the media.
Hi, Ashraf. Don't catch stray bullet unnecessarily. When they said the media, if when you know that you're not implicated, don't catch feeling. I'm a government employee. I'm a government official. When they say government officials are corrupt, I don't catch unnecessary stray bullet because I know that I'm not. So if they are saying the media, if when you know that you're not one of those, don't be defensive unnecessarily, man. Don't be defensive unnecessarily. It's like when you're saying politicians are corrupt. They have to defend themselves because they know that they are corrupt. Those that are corrupt, they will defend themselves. But those that are not corrupt, they won't catch unnecessary offense.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I agree with you. I mean, the easier way is you say these media houses. Why instead of just saying the media, be specific. So when you say politicians are corrupt, I would say, can you specify which ones are corrupt, as opposed to agreeing that all politicians are corrupt? I mean, I just think that be specific about which media you're referring to.
Gore. Ashraf, yes, the guy who's saying the president Ramaphosa want to be the president for the third time. He doesn't understand.
Okay, right. We've actually played that. Sorry, my apologies.
Gore.
That did not delete. And I think, you confirm what I said earlier on too. Here's the last one I'm going to play.
Afternoon, Ashraf, to your crew there, and afternoon to everyone else who's listening. Ashraf, I said it. I'm not actually surprised with the sacking of Coach Nabi, because while he was away on family responsibility leave, I told my fellows, I said, when Coach Nabi comes back, we will now realize the results of Kaizer Chiefs thinking. And that's what actually happened. And they argued then, and they said, no, but he's the one who's giving out instructions. Not that I was naive to that, but I argued that it was clear that the assistant coaches that he left behind were actually having a man management impact on those young Chiefs players.
Okay, I tell you what, there's no question that the Nasruddin Nabi story will be covered on the Top Sport show from 7 to 8 and hosted today by Tumi. So do listen out to that. I probably will as well, because I'll tell you what, last night I went to a paddle tournament. It was long, came back at 11:30. Tonight I'm going home. I am mukh. That's all I'm telling you, mukh. I wonder what your plans are for this evening. Let's get the news. Yes, Colafelo.
Thank you, Ashraf. Top stories this hour. Motive on disbandment of political killings tax team questioned, and Hawks raid Polokwane municipality amid corruption allegations. Good evening. KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi says he believes that suspended Police Minister Senzo Mchunu was influenced by someone to disband the KZN political killings tax team. Mchunu was placed on leave of absence by President Cyril Ramaphosa after Mkhwanazi accused him of having ties with criminal syndicates that have infiltrated law enforcement agencies. Mkhwanazi has told the Matlanga Commission that it concerned him when Mchunu made the decision to disband the tax team, even when he had not received a formal briefing on its functions. He adds that the minister's conclusion of saying that the tax team does not add any value in policing in South Africa was misplaced.
I have displayed earlier today, also in the statement, previous pages, the work that the team have done, the success rate, that influence